people have always asked about squat technique, and Chuck's got tremendous squat technique. And so we're just going to ask him a few things, what he thinks about from bar placement to foot stance, how do you point the toes, what do you do with the belt, how tight do you wear a belt, and so forth. And what muscles does he activate when he does the squatting. So Chuck, you want to go ahead and just demonstrate and just walk us through it. All right.
First thing I like to do is when I get underneath the bar, make sure your feet placement are right. If it's not, what happens is you take it out of the rack and you start tilting. Your stomach don't stay tight, nothing stays tight. So this is the first thing you do. Make sure you set under the bar completely. We have bands on the bar right now, it's just demonstrating that way I have a little bit of weight on here anyways. The second thing I do is I get a lot of air in my stomach. I'm pushing my stomach out. Take a lot of air and I push out against the belt. Right when I'm underneath the bar, get the bar placement, push out of my stomach, lift my head up, take the bar out. My stomach is pushed out as far as I can push it out against the belt. At this point, before I lower the bar, actually what I do is I rebreathe, take another breath, push out of my belt again, and then start descending. When I descend, I set back. Start flaring my knees out when I get to the bottom of the lift and flex on the way up. Okay.
All right, so you don't carry the bar. What do you recommend for bar, or where to carry the bar?
Well, it really depends. The way I look at it, it depends on how you set the bar up. If you set the bar high on your back, then you need to turn your toes out a little bit. This will keep your back upright in a straight position. So I can turn my toes out. Into this position, get my back, my chest up, and I'm squatting straight up and down. That's for straight up and down squat. If you're bending over, it's totally different. I would have to lower the bar height or the rack height. Because the bar placement is going to be different. The bar placement is going to be placed way low on my back, almost on my rear delt. I'm going to turn my toes in a little bit further, pointed forward. This way it'll be more of my hamstrings, my lower back.
A lot of hip involvement with this too.
I don't look up as hard. I try to keep my back locked in at all times though. So this is the form. But to use this form, you basically have to have a really, really strong back. Your back has to be strong, your hip flexors has to be strong, and the equipment where it's going to be different.
Well, speaking about equipment, I noticed, I watch you train all the time for years. When you're in a poly suit, you actually squat a little different than you do in the meet when you're in your canvas. Can you explain the difference in the techniques when you put a canvas on versus a poly?
Well, canvas, what I found, whenever you use a canvas, you have to squat straight up and down. They're so tight at the bottom. You get to the bottom of the lift, if the bar's low on your back and you're leaning over, you get to the bottom, it seems like it tilts you over. So that's the reason why. With the canvas, you got to get straight up and down. You have to turn your feet out. As you're coming down with the bar, with the canvas, you set back into your suit. But when it really starts tightening up, it'll tighten up right into here. You got to flare your knees out. They got to go out, out, out. That keeps you in a straight line. If not, you'll tilt and dump. So that's what happens with that. With a poly on, it's totally different. The way I squat, I like to squat with my, actually I'm a lot faster if I'm bent over, with the bar lower on my back, using my hip flex, using a polyester. That's the two differences.
more and more bands and more and more weight, do you start adding some more gear? I know we never wear knee wraps here, but you add stronger suits.
Yeah, normally we always do, because it really takes punishment on you. Eventually, at the end of your cycle, if you don't increase your gear, you're going to get too beat up to go to a meet. So what we normally do is, just for training, say I'm 12 weeks out, 10 weeks out, I'm still using groove briefs. When I get 4 weeks, 5 weeks out, I might put a suit on with the groove briefs, not a meat suit. That's what we do.
All right, well thanks, Chuck. You did a good job. It sounds real important to teach people how to squat using proper technique. You know, Chuck, we do all squat wide here. We don't really tell people how to squat close. We basically think everyone should squat wide if you have the flexibility to do so.